a technical video involving this German-made device here. It's a yoghurt maker, and a culinary video too, because I'll show you how yoghurt's made, and then we'll actually open this thing up. Now, I've written plus 25 degrees Celsius on the bottom of this because that's the temperature I measured that it gets up to inside. So this is basically, it's a heated bowl, if you will, and it comes with a clear lid you put on top. And the only other thing that's really involved here is it's got the power switch, mains lead going in, and it says Severin, made in Germany, and it's got this little indent here. And on the top of the lid, if you rotate the lid round, it's got numbers of the time you actually put it on at. So just basically a rough reminder for time. And at the moment, this is mildly warm. I can show you how warm it is just by dropping this in here. This is a thermal imaging camera image I took of it. And it just basically has a sort of circular pattern of heat. And I was trying to work out, what does it use to heat this? I wonder if it's a heated band or if it's an actual heated panel or resistors or something. We'll find out when we open it. But the base does get up to about 30 degrees Celsius, and that spreads into the unit, covers it fairly evenly, and then it basically sits at an ambient 25 above the ambient temperature in the room. So I'll just put this down out of the way at the moment. I'll try and remember to unplug it before I open it. And here's how you make yogurt. You see, that device comes with 7 jars. I'm going to brighten this video up because now I've done that, that's a bit better. That's probably too much, but that's okay. So it comes with 7 of these jars that then sit into that unit. And they come with loose lids, not sealed, because you're going to be fermenting things in them. And that would get quite nasty if you pressurised that. So you need milk. Now, you can use ordinary milk or you can use UHT milk. This is UHT milk, and you'd think, well, UHT usually tastes terrible if you use it in tea or coffee, but in this case, it tastes absolutely fine when you make the yogurt. And the first thing you do is you pour your milk into a plastic jug, and, well, I stuck it in the microwave, and you take it up to about roughly 80 degrees Celsius. And the point of that is it sterilises milk. It's not so important with the UHT milk for sterilisation. But the other main function of that is it denatures the milk. If you don't do that, if you just use the milk straight, like I did the first time, it makes the yoghurt very stringy. It's not stringy as in hard strings, but it makes it it tends to drip off the spoon in a sort of globby way. If you heat it first and then bring it back down to room temperature, it works much better. It just basically creates a thicker, firmer yogurt. So you heat your milk up and then you stir in sugar if you wish. Then what I do is I get the jars and I get flavours. Here's coconut, concentrated flavours, almond, chalk, orange, and you put 1 or 2 drips into each, and then you pour the milk in. And then stir it up, and you let it sort of cool down. The stirring isn't so important because you will stir it later. Once it's cooled down to room temperatures or body temperature, say about a maximum 40 degrees Celsius, preferably 20 or 30, you then add the culture to it. So you've got the sweetened milk, and you can either get the yogurt cultures or you can go to the supermarket, buy a tub of yogurt, natural yogurt, and just put 1 teaspoon of this yogurt into each of those pots and stir it up. Then you put it into the incubator, and basically speaking, it heats it, and you just leave it at sort of that elevated temperature for something like 8 hours upwards, 8 to 12. It doesn't really matter that much, because if you forget about it and leave it, it's the same as when you're fermenting wine. Once, in the case of wine, when the alcohol level's too high, it stops the yeast fermenting. In this case, it forms lactic acid, and that stops the bacteria from basically converting the lactose into the lactic acid. And at that point, you have hot yogurt, which you then put in the fridge and it cools down, and you end up with this. So let me grab my spoon here and show you the yogurt. It's got a fairly good texture, and in this case, I'm trying to remember what flavour this one is. That's banoffee flavour. Nice. Forgot I'd made the banoffee flavour. That's good. It didn't take much flavour to add that, but you see the yogurt, it's nice and thick. It's like almost like this sort of Greekish type yogurt. It's really nice. Anyway, before I start eating all the yogurt, let's get this stuff out of the way, and we'll open the unit that actually makes it. And we'll see what it's got inside to do all the heating. So I'll just put all this stuff down out of the way, bring this back in. I shall unplug it just in case it's one of these things, and I'll also tame this down again a wee bit. Yeah, that's better. I'll tame it down a bit, and I've unplugged it because you just never know what's going to happen when you open these things. Sometimes things may spring out. So what sort of screw? Oh, that it's a. Didn't think that through. It's a Torx-ish type screw. Let's see, what have I got to do that with then? Where is the screwdriver set? Let's bring in this Kamasa set since it's the first one that comes to hand. Is it going to be that one? Where's that? Something to prise that out with. That'll do it. Whoop. So let's pop the base off this and see what's inside. I don't think it's going to be that complicated. It could be a circuit board with resistors on it. Surface mount resistors, that would almost kind of make sense in a way, but it might be just a heater tape. It could even be one of those carbon film type materials. I don't really know. So off comes the base. Oh, right, okay. It is. So we've got the mains come in. Right, okay, I want to see how this is heating up. It's got sort of printing on it. So they've got the aluminium here to spread the heat. I think that's also used to stick it onto the thing in the first place. I wonder what these holes are for in it. So I'm going to plug this in, noting that this bit in here will become live, because I want to get the thermal imaging camera now and actually see, does this whole wire heat up, or does it just heat up for part of it? I suppose it makes sense if the whole thing heated up. I don't think it really matters that much. It doesn't go up to too high a temperature, although ultimately you'd want the bulk of it on the base of this. So the thermal imaging camera is currently booting up. I have been making quite a lot of yogurt, I have to say. It's quite nice. It's not something I'd normally eat much of, but because you can, the ingredients, and basically you can make it to your own flavours, and it's very easy. It's been quite appealing. So the thermal imaging camera is almost booted up. So let's check this out. Oh blimey, that's the heater wire heats. See these black dots in it? That is where it starts heating up. So this must be sleeved over. It must just be a cable leading in, and then it must go on to maybe a core with the wire wrapped round it. It's actually split there, which is a bit disturbing. That's quite good though, because now I can take a look into it through that split. And what am I seeing? I'm seeing a fiberglass core. Oh, let's see if I can show you this. So the thing itself is getting up to about 80 degrees Celsius. But I'll just turn this off now and show you what I'm seeing inside here. So let's unplug this now that I've done that. It doesn't really matter this is split, it's because it's this whole thing is plastic anyway, but let's see if I can show you what I'm seeing here. What looks like, let's zoom down in fact, let's get multiple compounds zooming and see if I can close in this. It looks like a fiberglass core possibly with a heater wire wrapped round it. That's quite interesting. Very simple construction then. And it's not getting super hot, it's not dissipating an awful lot of power. What is its power rating? Is it printed in the bottom here? 13 watts, so it really is, it's very low power. Would you say that's roughly 1 watt an inch roughly then? Yeah, probably about that, every 25 millimetres. So the construction of it is super simple. And as I say, operation is really simple. You just basically put the jars into it, 7 jars, and then put the lid in it, and then just forget about it. And it doesn't matter if you leave it for more than 12 or whatever hours or a day or whatever, it will get up to a certain point, then it will kind of stop. And then stick the yoghurt in the fridge and that's it, you've got your yoghurt. So very, very simple device, and it's quite fun to make as well.